I cannot make this up. I cannot make this up. Imagine, first date with a man. You hit it off. Great energy. Date runs long. And you have a graduation party to get to. So I'm like, you know what? Okay, you want to come with me to my homegirl's graduation party? He's like, okay, yeah, sure. But I don't want to show up empty-handed, so we stop at the Target. Another green flag, because we've been hitting it off. Okay, great. We stop at Target. He gets her a card. We go to the graduation party. I introduce him to my friend. Cool. We go to my car. We're getting into my car. He's saying like, oh yeah, can you drop me off at the mall? Da-da-da-da, like whatever. Fine, because he allegedly Ubered an hour to get to me. Because he lives far out, not in the city. This man gets in my car. All of a sudden, a woman comes up out of the blue. I don't know where this woman was. She comes up and she yanks open my passenger side door. She's like, what the F are you doing? Get up. Come with me right now. Come with me right now. Get up. Get up. You're coming with me. At first, I thought she was joking. And at first, I thought it was like she saw him from afar, thought he was fine. Came into the car, was like, you're coming with me. You're coming with me. Because he was just like, chill, chill, chill. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cute. Like, he's fine. Okay, period, sis. But, like, not too much. But then she gets rowdy. She's like, get out the car. Get out the car. And yanks this full-grown size man and yanks him out the car. So I'm like, oh, y'all know each other. Takes him out the car. Bella, my car, is here. Her car is here. I'm T-boned in. I cannot move. There's a car in front of me. So all I can do is sit and look in my rear view at her beating. Just beating his ass. Just beating his ass. And I'm like, I turn my music down so I can hear what's being said. I can't hear nothing, but just going. And I'm like, what the heck? I didn't have the word. Like, I didn't have the words. It happened so fast, and I cannot move. So I'm sitting here, waiting for her to finish his beating. Finally, they start to back up. They pull up beside me. I'm looking like this. And he goes. And they drive off. And I just didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Because clearly that's your girl. We talked about cheating. We talked about red flags. We talked about green flags. He had passed a lot of, like, he had a good head on his shoulders, I thought. We talked about cheating in 30 minutes. We talked about emotional versus physical cheating. And she picked him up and yanked him out of the passenger side. And they drove off, and then he texted me, what are you doing? What am I doing? I'm coping. I'm done with men. Especially light skins. I can't.
Okay, so a guy that I've had a crush on forever slid in my DMs and asked if I wanted to get dinner with him. And it was, oh my god, I was so excited. So I told all my friends and they were so excited for me. I mean, like, this he's just a super popular guy and everyone likes him. He's so cute, so nice. I could not believe that this guy was like cold open asking me on a date, but I was so excited. I was like, well, I'm not gonna question it. I'm just gonna show up. So I get ready, I show up to the restaurant. He's already there. I asked where he was sitting and then I couldn't find him anywhere, and I look around. I see him sitting in the corner at a table with another girl. So what do you do? I don't know what to do. And I was like, oh, maybe it's definitely just like, I don't know what I was thinking, actually. I don't know why I'm trying to narrate what I was thinking. I just walked over to the table and he was like, hey, this is my friend. And I was like, okay. Like, I thought maybe she was just, I don't know, passing by. Nope. So I sit down at this table and he's like, how are you? And I'm like, good. How are you guys? Plural. He was like, oh, we're good. And then he starts just talking to her. Doesn't give me any intro, any explanation. I'm confused. I really at this point still thought that maybe she was just like walking by and like happened to know him. But also she was like very comfortable in her seat. She ordered a drink. So I was like, oh my god. Is this like a 2-on-1? Are we like on The Bachelor right now? Imagine a guy you really like asks you on a date and you show up and he's also on a date with another girl at the same time. What do you do? I don't know what to do. And it's not even like it was like a group like thing because she wasn't talking to me at all. Yeah, I know. I'm mad too. The waiter comes and asks what we want to eat, and I was like, this is definitely her cue. Like, she definitely has somewhere more important to be. Nope. She orders an entree. So the three of us go on a date. We're on a date together. And I was literally in shock. Like, I didn't know. And then I started gaslighting myself. I was like, wait, why did I think this is a date? Like, it's definitely just a fun group thing. But what kind of fun group thing is that when neither of them are really even talking to me? Neither of them are even talking to me. So, and also a single guy asking a single girl to get dinner with her. Isn't that a date, right? I don't know. That's a date. So now it's time to leave. And I feel like I did not say 4 words to this guy, but he asked if I wanted to ride home. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm down. We get in the car and he kisses me. So what is this? Was that a date? I don't know. I was in shock. I don't even know why I let him kiss me when that was the weirdest thing I've ever done. After, he texted me and asked me what I thought about his Instagram. And I was like, it's a guy's Instagram. What do you want me to say? And he was like, no, I mean, like, I've been thinking about hiring someone to run my Instagram. And I was like, so that was a group interview to win a job, I guess, and someone to make out with? Why did he make out with me if he was trying to hire me? For like 10 minutes, by the way. So yeah.
A couple months ago, I went on a date with this guy. Worst date I've ever been on. Let me tell you about it. To preface, him and I met like in the IRL, and he like asked me for my number. At like 5 o'clock that same day, I get a FaceTime from a random number. It's him. I never saved his number. And he's like, hey, do you want to go get drinks in like 20 minutes? Like, yeah, bet, spontaneous. Like, let's do it. 20 minutes later, we meet up and we're like walking to this restaurant. I knew within the first 10 minutes that this was a one date type of thing. So we walked to the first restaurant. Do you want anything to eat? And I was like, oh no, I just had dinner. Like, I'm good. He orders an appetizer and it comes and he goes, oh no. And he like gets the waiter's like, waiter. He goes, I have a peanut allergy. Do these have nuts in it? I know the man cannot control his peanut allergy, but I was already icked and the icks just kept getting worse. He is like throwing them back the whole time. And I'm just sitting there sipping out of a little straw, like, chill. This man is yapping. Personally, I'm a yapper. He is out talking me. I'm talking about like my dreams, my accomplishments, like things that I want to do in my future. He's pretty much telling me that like that's all wrong and that I need to do something else. Like, what? This is a first date, not a life advice session. He just keeps going on and on about how I'm making all these like wrong decisions. And this whole time he keeps on slipping in how like rich he is and how much money he has. Like, that's so like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. So then we get up and we go to the next restaurant. Oh my God. This is where it starts to go downhill rapidly. He starts talking about his girl best friend. I don't care about that stuff. Like, whatever. Have as many girlfriends as you want. Like, whatever. But the way he's talking about her is like, he's obviously in love with her and like she won't give him the time of day. Like, he's kind of obsessed with her, it sounds like. I'm pretty sure he like called her in the middle of the dinner too. And then the man did the worst thing that you could ever do on a first date. He brought up his ex-girlfriend, or ex-girlfriends, I should say. He brought up all of his exes and why all of them broke up and didn't work out. He even talked about how one of them, he like really felt like he like sold the bag on her. We are on a first date. That's like first date 101, what not to talk about. At this point, I'm literally just like, what is going on? Like, I'm just smiling and nodding because I'm like, this cannot get any worse. So then we get up to leave to go to this like rooftop, and I stand up and he like kisses me. I was so not ready for that. And to be honest, I was so not planning to like kiss him. I know he saw the shock in my face because after I'm like, we're also in public. I am not a PDA girl. We're walking along this pathway to this rooftop that we're headed to. He's like, I really have to pee. I'm like, okay, whatever. So he like goes just like to pee like off the trail. Weird, but whatever, I don't care. Boys will be boys. So he's peeing and I have my back turned to him, like looking in the distance. This man says to me, oh, you don't have to turn around. What? Who says that? Who says that? I'm sorry, I do not need to see the pee trickling out. No thanks. I just like laughed because I was like, what am I supposed to respond to that? We get to this rooftop. Not his fault, but we did have to take stairs like all the way up 9 floors. I was huffing and puffing. At this point though, I don't even care like what he thinks of me because in my head, I'm like, this is over. So then he starts trauma dumping to me on the roof, on the verge of tears. I'm sitting there and I'm like, and then he looks in my eyes and he goes, I know I really like you because I don't even want to hook up with you right now. What? I'm like, what the fuck? He's saying these things to me and I'm like, what am I even supposed to respond with? Oh my God. But then he's like a gentleman and he orders me an Uber home. In the Uber, I'm like, thank God this is over. Oh, but it wasn't. Should I do a little part 2?
This will go down in history as the worst first date I've ever had. He took me to Chipotle for our first date and then refused to pay for it.
Oh, brother!
It gets worse. Don't worry. Let's talk about the worst first date story that I have. Say this man's name is Max, right? I'll take my waist trainer off real quick. So when I meet Max, he asked me what it is that I'm looking for in a relationship. I already know when men ask you that, they're most likely asking because they just want to hook up and they want to make sure that you're on the same wavelength. I don't like to waste time and I don't like to be surprised, so I ask him. I tell him, are you just looking to hook up? I'm looking to just hang out with somebody and see if it turns into something serious. Basically go with the flow, which I'm cool with because I like going with the flow too. However, don't worry, I'm not fooled. I usually know that when men say that shit, it's also code word. I tell him cool, like I'm not looking for like a crazy relationship or anything, but definitely not looking to just like solely hook up with people. Come to the understanding that we're both like kind of on the same page, and then he plans a date. We're supposed to go out on a Monday, and then it was like a weekend day or something, and he texts me and he's like, hey, I'm not working actually. Like basically just like he was like on board and there's like nothing going on. Already like a really flagged, like you should never just meet a guy on like the day that he just asked to go out with you. At the same time, I was like, fuck it, I'm bored, I don't give a shit. So I give him a coffee shop, I tell him to meet me there. Max was a very attractive man, like 6'3", throat tats, like fully tatted up. We hadn't spoken much. I didn't really know if his personality was all that great, so I was like, I hope that his personality matches his looks. The key component of this is that he's Dominican and Argentinian. So anyways, yeah, we just start walking, hanging out. I'm basically like, yo, I just want to have like a really chill day. Like, let's go to this park. The conversation is so easy. However, I have to often remind myself when I go out on first dates with guys that it's like, okay, just because this is happening doesn't mean it's a good match, because I am so good at having conversation with literally everyone. I have really always been that girl that I will leave a date and I'll be like, oh my God, I had so much fun. They were so cool to talk to. And then I realize I'm like, damn, it was mostly me. Like, I'm just really interesting and fun on first dates. But in all seriousness, we're at the park and we're sitting there for 4 hours. We are talking about all types of stuff. I always love a first date that gets pretty serious. I think we were talking about like homelessness, aliens, afterlife, stuff about my dad and my family, things about his life growing up. Like, we were having really good conversation. Sit on a park bench for 4 hours, it means that y'all had to have like gotten along pretty well. After a considerable amount of time passes, we both kind of get the idea of like, okay, let's get up and go. Like, either this date is over or something else is gonna happen. He's like, oh, like, would you like to go eat or something? I already was like, okay, when I met this man, we got along great, but he wasn't like the love of my life, because I have met a man once before that I like instantly knew he was the love of my life, and I have been like searching for that. I was like, I don't know if I want to go eat with him or not, but I also really had liked his personality. Like, I thought he was a cool guy. I was definitely very hesitant, and he was like, listen, like, I understand if you want to go home, but I would love to like sit down and talk with you and hang out with you more if you want. I'm like, what's it gonna hurt? Like, I'll go get a meal. So he's like, cool, do you want to go get ramen? Do you want to go get this? But I'm like, I don't know, you figure it out. Like, I'm a woman, I'm not supposed to use my brain cells when I'm around you. He is sitting there thinking about it, and then he starts going, oh, actually, like, okay, if you don't want to go eat, like, that's totally fine with me. Like, I will take my ass home. I was, yeah, I feel like we just have to make smart choices, and like, we can do this another time. I'm just like throwing the off. Okay, you know what, whatever. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine, I'll go home. We go our separate ways. I walk about 8 minutes, and this man calls me and goes, actually, I changed my mind. I made a couple of calls, like, let's go eat.
Oh, brother!
First of all, I don't know why in that moment I wasn't just like, made a couple calls, what the fuck did I make? But I was just like, oh. Okay. Like, that's fine. I haven't even walked that far. You can just come meet me. He starts stumbling over his words, and he's like, well, actually, maybe just go home. It's fine. And I'm like, bro, I haven't even like left the fucking park. Like, let's go eat. At this point, I'm hungry too, and I thought we were gonna go eat, and you just like made me change my mind, and now I'm upset. So it's just like, let's just go through with it. So as we're walking, we're having a conversation about like cat feeders, because he has cats. And he tells me the reason that he left was because he had to go feed his cats, but he didn't want to say that because it didn't sound cool, supposedly. So the conversation comes up, and I'm like, you should just buy a cat feeder. They're super cheap on Amazon. He's like, yeah, I've been wanting to, but they're like $60, so I have to save up for it. Oh, baby does not have money whatsoever, which I get it. He's struggling, but perhaps you should not be going out with me. We're walking on our way to ramen, and as we're passing by the ramen place, pass by Chipotle. Of course, me who loves to yap and just create conversation, I'm like, oh my God, I really love Chipotle. He's looking, action, I'm pointing. The man goes, you like Chipotle? Can I eat there? Do you like Chipotle? Like, come on, are you okay with that? I have only seen a man whip his head that damn fast for some ass before, okay? I've never seen no man go, oh, it's Chipotle cheap. I was like, clearly you are not doing okay. And I also wasn't even taking this man seriously. At this point, he had already pissed me off about leaving and coming back. I was like, fuck it, I'm just hungry. I'm just gonna get my Chipotle. Like, let's go. I don't mind. If I'm not gonna take you seriously, like for real, as like a boyfriend or anything, take me whatever, but I don't give a fuck. So as Max and I are walking to Chipotle, we get right in front of Chipotle, and he goes, give me 2 minutes. I have to go do something, and I'll meet you in there. Oh. Okay. I don't know why I didn't like watch him, because he just walked away. I went into Chipotle. He comes back in, so I go up to the line, and I notice that as I'm getting closer to the line, he's making sure to keep as much distance away from me as possible. I am talking like COVID guidelines, 6 feet away from me. Man was like all the way by the trash can. Eventually, I realized, I'm like, oh my God, he's keeping all this distance from me because he doesn't want our meals to be grouped together so he doesn't have to pay for them. I accepted Chipotle because I was trying to give him some financial aid. Immediately, I'm like, oh yeah, this date is so done for. Like, I need to just get through this shit and go home. I pay for my little $16 Chipotle meal. I sit down, he goes pays for his, and he comes and sits down with me. I can't even hide my energy at this point. Like, the brokest boyfriend I've ever had has made me pay for the first date. I've never had a man ever in my life make me pay for the first date, especially at Chipotle. That's insane. Mind you, y'all, he also got him that high dollar chicken, got him a little glass bottle drink. I dated a broker before, and when I went to Chipotle, that man would only buy himself just a meal, like a kid's meal. He wouldn't even do no drink, no nothing. I can barely fake the conversation, and I'm pretty sure that he could feel that I'm really not feeling it because he stops talking and there starts to be like little moments of silence between us, which hadn't happened before. I go to the bathroom because I'm like, I hope when I go to this bathroom, this man leaves and he's gone. I come back out, he is still there.
Oh, brother.
When I sit down, he starts giving me this spiel about how he just
wants to make sure that we're on the same page because he cannot provide and he's not ready for a relationship, and it doesn't even make any sense because the way that my job works and the way that he is in life right now, he just obviously couldn't be in anything serious.
I already had a conversation about this before we went out, and I told him I wasn't looking for anything serious. But clearly, baby, you cannot provide whatsoever. You can't even provide a Chipotle meal. He's basically like, oh, I just want to have fun. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad that you were open and honest. I'm basically thinking that he is very much aware that I'm very not feeling this at all. We part ways, I get in the car, I go home. I'm expecting to never hear from this man again. Not even 5 minutes after I leave, he texts me and goes, do you want to see each other again or no? I was like, there's absolutely no way you're that clueless. Straight up with him, and I'm like, listen, dude, I wasn't even wanting anything serious. I don't know why you went into this whole spiel, but the fact that you didn't pay for my $16 Chipotle meal just kind of really threw me off. Legit OD broke your way out of some cootie cat. That is just crazy to me. Conclusion, do not date Dominican men. I don't care how fine they are. And that, ladies, is why.
Worst date I ever went on, the guy lied about his age. We met on a dating app and he was a good 10 years older than what his dating profile said. But I didn't find that out until I was already on the date with him. So this guy invites me to a Forbes event. I don't think much of it because he's a music executive. I imagine they go to Forbes events all the time. Now, I ain't never been to a Forbes event before. So I meet him at this hotel, which the Forbes event is supposed to be at. It's not a Forbes event. Salsa lessons. That's not what I want to do on a first date. I don't even like dancing in front of people unless I'm like 3 shots in. I don't know if this was like a part of his grand plan or not because he seemed pretty confused by it too. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. We just talked for a while and boy could he talk. He was a talker, child. I know his whole life story. He works in music. I know that he discovered this famous band that I don't really give a shit about. And he told me about how he's writing a movie. It's just a lot. You want to get to know somebody, but damn, ask me a question or two. After a while, I'm just kind of over it. I'm like, I am hungry. I need to eat. It just so happens my favorite restaurant is like right up the street. It's called Sugarfish. I basically just tell him, I'm about to go to this restaurant. Here's where I went wrong. I invited him. I was like, you can come. We're in the Uber to the restaurant. Have you ever had that moment when you're hanging out with someone and you decide that this will be your last time ever seeing them? This man says the whitest shit to me. He tells me no woman can ever come between him and his dog. His dog has to sleep in the bed with him every night. You don't like his dog, you don't like him. It was just weird he said that because like we weren't even talking about dogs. It was just like he felt the urge to like, before we proceed, you need to know this. Mind you, I was never gonna sleep in his bed anyways. What? Like do girls be trying to come between? I don't know. I just want no parts. Like at dinner, he made a point to tell me that like he normally doesn't do this. And I was like, what do you mean by this? Like go out on dates? And he was like, no, take women to restaurants. He had this whole theory about how like, when you take a woman to a restaurant, she's gonna take a picture of her food and she won't take a picture of the guy. And I'm like, do you want women to like take pictures of you along with their food? And it's just weird. I just don't like people with weird philosophies that don't make sense. This man blows up my phone the next day, pretty much talking at me because he never asked me like how I'm doing. He just like rambles about his day. And I'm like, I can't. I basically tell him, hey, I don't think we're compatible. You didn't really ask me any questions about myself. Like, you haven't even asked me how I'm doing. And he's like, all you LA girls are the same. I'm like, what in the world? He goes on and he's like, and I was gonna try to write you into my movie. And I'm just like, so do you want me to like stick around, pretend to like you? Because you're writing a movie. Like all he did was talk about how clouded he is, how much money he has. And I'm like, you're the same guy who's complaining about girls in LA being gold diggers, but all you've showed me is your gold. What am I supposed to be attracted to? Your dog?
I went on the worst date of my life last night, and I got catfished before. So if this is the worst date of my life, that says a lot. First of all, I tell my homegirl, I'm like, I really don't feel like going on this date. And she like, girl, he just graduated PA school. He is a doctor. You're going on this date. I tell him I do not like bars. I like hookah bars, hookah lounges, but I don't like bars. That's not my vibe. He takes me to a bar, and immediately I'm like, and he's like, oh, is this not your vibe? Let's go somewhere else. And we end up at a place that I know, a spot that I know that I like. Immediately, he puts his arm around me and starts taking pictures with me like I'm his wife, like I'm his woman. Mind you, this is my first time meeting this man. He is literally taking pictures of me, with me. So I'm annoyed, and I'm like looking at him like, that's weird. And he's like, what's weird? I said, it's weird that you're taking pictures of me and with me. I don't know you like that. Like, I don't. Homeboy has an attitude. He's just like, oh, that's weird? Okay. Okay. Like, he's big man. Like, big man. So the man comes to take our order for drinks. I order my drink. My go-to is lychee martini. So I order it. Then he doesn't know what he wants. So my drink comes out, and he's like, oh, can I taste? I'm like, sure. And there's no straws. So he's like mouth to glass on my drink. So he's like, oh, this is really good, and orders the same exact thing. So of course, when his drink comes out, I'm like, here, you take my drink, I'll take this one. I think that's fair, y'all. I personally think that's fair. But homeboy is even bigger mad. Like, he wanted me to drink off of his mouth, and I don't know why. So I'm just feeling uncomfortable. It's just weird. Conversation's going, but he's just doing too much. So by now his words are slurring. He's a little tipsy. He's like on his second, third drink. Words slurring. He's asking me the same questions that he not only asked me through text, but asked me literally 2 minutes ago. And I'm just like, it's time to go. So the question he keeps asking me is what type of men I like. And I continue to tell him, I already told you I like confident. Oh, I'm confident. I look good. I know I look good. And he's from New York. So if you know New York men, it's that type of New York man. Fast forward through a whole lot of uncomfortableness. He forces himself to hold my hand while we're walking to my car. 10 years later, we make it to my car, finally. He's asking me if I had a good time, if I think that we'll be able to go out to meet again. I'm not a fan of pissing men off, especially when there's no one else around, so I'm like, we'll talk tomorrow. And then he tried to kiss me.